I suggest you read Schopenhauer. He talks about how the intelligent need solitude and they suffer without it. Boy, I can relate to that. When I'm in solitude, I go deep into my thoughts and myself. And when people are around, it's just noise. It's like coming up to the surface and I'm choking on it. It's so boring. It's so shallow. It's just noise. I suffer without solitude. That's maybe the way you are too. Think about it. Are you maladapting to the lack of solitude? And do you find it to be noise? Success is not how many know your name, but how well you know yourself from being in solitude. It's not about the surface level of just social hypnotism, how well connected you are. That's really immaturity. You want to go deep inside to find out who the hell you are. What are your limitations? What are your talents? What are your inclinations? What are the things you detest but aren't facing, that you're instead maladapting to it? Because that is the cause of a lot of addiction. You're trying to find solace in the midst of all this. In solitude, become so still that the world's noise no longer has any effect on you. So that when you go back into society, you're still changed. You're a changed person. And it may not be forever your social exile, but it will be something you return to a lot, if not in mind. Because once you find that special place inside, you will be returning. Because the world is just superficiality. You have cycles in history that keep changing, trends. And people have trends. Trends are ridiculous. You want eternal things, not the trends of society that are fashionable. You will find comfort in solitude when the world sees loneliness as failure. I remember people used to come to my house. I was a member of a false church, and they would lecture me on how this was immature to always want to be alone, and how I should mature and become part of the group and want to go to their potlucks and suffer through their very boring. People were afraid to say anything. They were inauthentic, and I didn't want any part of it. And to please this alpha female in the church, I went to a potluck. I thought it would shut her up. It didn't at all. She wanted me to go to the next one and the next one. It was just constant social expectations. I finally got out. I said, "Woman, this isn't God. This is you dominating everybody. This is you thinking social is God. Social is not God. Me sitting around in a boring group, twiddling my thumbs, watching the clock, is not God. God is God." World obsessed with connection and constant social interaction, you will be called antisocial. When it's not antisocial at all, it's simply you wanting to choose what part of the world you engage in. Your choice, not constantly being imposed on by it. It's awful. I suffered with this my whole life. I think it was the reason for any of my addictions. I was trying to form my own little world where it was just me, so I would get into drinking or drugging so that I could go inside. It was an escape. You're looking for solace. If you were just living your own life, you wouldn't have a desire for these things. It's an escape. Those who withdraw from social noise are made alive on the inside. They're judged by society for being antisocial, but they are alive on the inside. It's an inner journey, a fascinating inner adventure to the true self, the unique self that God made. It's not it is an escape from outer noise, but it's being alive on the inside. It's not so much a retreat from life, but going to the source of all life. The source is something they never ever find. They live on the surface level, and you scratch the surface and you just get more surface. They never go deeper. They remind me of Kamala Harris. It's all superficial, no depth, no juice. That's the true self. And 99.9% of the people never find the true self. The true self is totally unique, but they can't stand that because conformity is what society wants. Conforming to what? A bunch of gremlins? A bunch of boring people that are not themselves and are afraid to be themselves? You see, we shift our thoughts to suit the environment. Not just what we say, but what we think is shaped by the environment until we, the true self, just becomes a collage of impressions, a mirror of other people, and never the true self. I don't want to adapt to the environment. I'm extremely sensitive. I realize that. I used to have a lot of people around me. They'd drop in, and I didn't have the boundary assertion to tell them to stay out. And as a triple Pisces, I would take them on mentally. It's almost like taking on spirits. I lost my true self that way. It was submerged for years, and I was miserable. I don't want to take you on. I want to take myself on, and I have to be alone to do that. Solitude, the self no longer hides behind roles. You see, we're married to our roles. And if we have high status, we want to maintain that. But it's not about our status in the world. That's what scares people about solitude. They lose all those roles. The roles are about me vis-a-vis them, me in society. Those roles mean nothing in solitude, and that's why people can't stand being alone. If they're worshipped in society, they lose all that. People like that, if they ever have to go to jail or something like that, they go crazy because they are all about their roles in society, and it's a mirage. The highest intellects in this world are solitary, not because they hate people, but because they love truth. They just want the truth, and they sense that when they're alone, they get a glimpse of it. So they go deeper and deeper, and simultaneously society becomes more intolerable to them. It's not about hating people at all. Man hates solitude, he hates freedom. Because you can only be free when you're by yourself, when you think about it. That is true freedom. With somebody around, you got to adapt to their personality. Boy, people used to say, gee, you're so antisocial, you're rude the way you won't let me in. It's like being imposed on suddenly. I want freedom. When I'm alone, I'm totally free. I can think and act the way I want. Makes sense, doesn't it? But if it doesn't make sense to you, you're still enmeshed. True freedom is not needing others to validate your existence. That is a freedom that is so exhilarating I can't even describe it. Most people need constant chatting around them, even if it's nonsensical, even if it's silliness, even if it's wrong and clearly false. It's still chattering. Hens going for recognition. They need that. And how pathetic that is. And when you're finally out of it, you can really see it. I don't need anybody to confirm or to validate me. I have internal validation because I've been in solitude for so many years. And I see how my life has progressed, how much more I have, how much more I've accomplished because of all the found time from being in solitude. and they're still losers behind because they peaked in their 20s and then, voted the most likely to succeed. And after 30, they just declined. They didn't go like this their whole life, and then one day they're dead. They declined after 30 because that was about all it was. Hands going for recognition. It's the freedom to think without censorship. People are always monitoring each other's communication. Oh, I don't think that. Oh, no, that isn't nice. Oh, that isn't, you're not towing the line there. That's not politically correct. They're always arguing with you. They're always correcting what you think so that it will be more in line with the majority. I'm so sick of that. Aren't you? Don't you want to be free of censorship? That's being alone. To live without performance. You don't have to perform like a seal. You can be free of manipulation. People are always manipulating each other. It's subtle. It's very, very smooth and subtle, and it has, punishment, nonverbal punishment, even a raised eyebrow, can have a big effect on people. 85% of our communication is non-verbal. That's how people get each other into synchrony, interactional synchrony. It's a perfect dance. It's a microscopic dance. That's how you define culture or family. They're in synchrony, and it's all subconscious, and it's maneuvering people to think like them. Once you have this brief hiatus of solitude, you will return to it your whole life. You'll go back to it to recalibrate, to find yourself again. It'll be a wonderful place. Even if you end up in jail or prison or whatever, you can always return to that in your mind. That's your set point. That's your baseline, is your true self, because God made it. Society makes a false self. That's secondary. I want to be my primary self, not the secondary self that I adapted to society with roles or status. I don't want that. I want the first self, the way I was born. That's what you want. Society fears the uncontrollable, who can't be seduced by their praise or their withdrawal of praise. Praise, withdrawal of praise. Oh, somebody said this about you, comparing you to other people. Somebody said this. Oh, I don't want to hurt you, but somebody said this. Society, pressuring you, molding you. It's torture, but you don't know it. You may see it as a wonderful reward. You may dream of making a lot of money so people will finally admire you. You live for that. Some people want to be famous so that they feel like they're admired by thousands of people. It's all compensatory. That is an expression we have in psychology. All is compensatory. You're compensating for the lack of self-knowledge. And when you have your own validation, you will not seek it from others because you realize they can't even see you. They don't even know what it is. They don't have the right barometer to judge you. They are held captive themselves. I'm done pretending in a rigged game. That's all it is. And I see relatives acting like that. It's all about seeking social status. It's all about being liked. And you look at who they're seeking the approval of, and they look dirty to me. They look contaminated, they look inferior. But in their mind, because they're judging with other values, oh, this is it, this is it. People come and go. They die, they move away. They're not that important, okay? It's God. And once you have God, you will stop seeking the approval of the fake crowd. Doing well in society standards means dying to your own. It's either one or the other. You can't have both. Life is short. There's just so many minutes in the day. Forget society's standards. Come alive to your own. Now this is the value of retirement. It's stepping out of society's expectations. And it's like slipping on a cozy pajamas and just relaxing and taking naps. It's a total vacation to step out of all that. It's not important. In fact, it's very valueless. It is dangerous. You want the true self. That's what God made. And insofar as you come to yourself, you come to God. And insofar as you come to God, you come to the true self He designed. It's as unique as a snowflake. It's not like anybody else. But society's terrified. You see, Satan owns society. Satan, our adversary. The one that wants to steal, kill, and destroy you. How does he do it? Through conformity and losing your selfhood. What I wrote while in the midst of it. Tedious cliches and meaningless niceties, polite cruelties, no more. That was when I was in a false church. I'd go to their potlucks and they were just sitting there, not saying anything. They were terrified of going outside the line. Meaningless, tireless cliches, stupidities, and stupid cruelties. Cruel without even knowing it. Polite society is not polite. It's a killer. Alpha female in the church came to my home without even announcing herself and bringing somebody I didn't even know, and she started ragging on me. And she says, "You must resist the impulse to isolationism." Resist the impulse, like it's some kind of a sickness. She was acting like my lack of desire to be part of the social world was a sickness, a social escapism, or social anxiety, I think she called it. You know, some sophomoric, inferior psychological term, social anxiety. It isn't social anxiety. It's picking and choosing what you want to do with your time, because there's just so many hours in the day. I want to devote my mind and my time to truth, to finding out the truth, and society ain't it. It wasn't Christians coming to my home to try to persuade me to be part of society. It was churches. I call them churches. Churches are not the same as Christians. It's the traditions of men. It's not Christianity. It's just hardened, crystallized, rigid tradition that has nothing to do with it. That's the Pharisees. It's Pharisaic. The Pharisees killed Jesus. He wasn't into that. The Pharisees were fakers. They killed him because he wouldn't conform to their rules and traditions. You don't want that. You want truth. Truth of God. God is not into conformity. Treated me like I was anti-Christian because I refused to be part of their socials. Imagine that. But that, I feel so sorry for their children, because their children are hypnotized like that. That it's not Christian if you don't want to go to their socials and be fake and try to get approval and yeah, shake hands or hug or whatever. And it's not the truth. It's fake society. Remember, 2 weeks before Christmas, every single year, my mother would go into a panic of anxiety because all the relatives would come around. And she sensed You know, the sting shots, the flip-flops, the polite cruelties, the miserable niceties, the phoniness, the put-downs, the comparison. She only saw them once a year, and she would go into a panic 2 weeks before Christmas. I never realized why that was. I thought maybe it was because of the added work involved. No, it wasn't. It was because she was like me. She wanted solitude. She was happy in her home, just herself and her husband, and she didn't want all these people around. How interesting that I recognized her after all these years since she died, that she was just like me. I don't want it either. They're shallow as a puddle. You scratch the surface, you get more surface. It used to bring out such a lonely feeling in me, people like that. I used to think, is this all there is? Really? You scratch the surface and you just get more superficiality? It was a frightening feeling. I wanted to go drink or eat or anything to create my own reality, to get away from these people. At this point, I see there are two kinds of people, social and conformist versus private and individual. Two kinds, and there's not a whole lot in between. You will start to recognize this now. Humans are invaders, imposing on each other. They're not a mass of individual, but clumps. They impose on each other, and that is how you create the herd. They're pushing each other into conformity. Humans are invasive. I don't want it around. I never did, but at least now I know it. You may get tired as you detox on this diet. Fruit, greens, nuts, and seeds. You go through a period when all the toxins are coming out of the cells and you feel really tired. Just sleep, get through it, and then suddenly it'll go to the bloodstream and you'll have energy suddenly.